Hello and welcome everybody. Today we are talking about the Archetype chips at buypoker.com, I'll put a link in the description. They also sell the Venerati chips. Now, real quick introduction. These are about a 10-gram chip. They have a really nice matte finish, smooth edges, and they are ceramics. Not like China dishes ceramic, but like hard plastic poker chip ceramic. Now, this is an impressions video. I'm not going to go quite into as much depth and measurements of stacks of these as I do when I have stacks and stacks of chips. The first thing I want to talk about is quality control. There are some things to note. Number one, if you look at the centering issues, all ceramics have centering issues. I haven't found any that don't, whether it be like old chips, like here's some Chipko Classics. These also have centering issues. We'll talk about those in a minute. Even Nile Club. It's hard to tell with Nile Club that there are centering issues, but you'll notice that some of these edge spots, I can't see through the viewfinder, are thicker than others, and they'll be off by anywhere from 1,000th to 3,000ths of an inch, whatever. And same with these. Every ceramic is just going to have some centering issues. The other thing that we always look at on ceramics are the dimples. Now, dimples are part of the manufacturing process, as my grandmother says, from Great Britain. The process here of making these chips involves like these trees, these plastic trees. You need to inject plastic into these molds, and so it will leave dimples. Now these dimples are next to not noticeable. Like you can see here on this, what is this, 25-cent yellow right here? That dimple is very hard to find, visually or even by touch. So the dimples on these are superb. They're great. They're above average. The texture is okay. The nice, smooth, satiny, matte finish, as compared to like Nevada Jack, will have a more aggressive texture. So will the Scrolls, the Crown Laurel, a whole bunch of these ceramics will have a more aggressive texture. These are much more like Chipko Classic or BR Pro Poker with a nice matte finish. Okay, so lovely, lovely chips. With that said, there is one interesting thing about the actual physical chip. These chips have a little ridge on them, very much like the Chipko Classics. Let's see if we can demonstrate that here. Just grab one here. Not sure if you'll be able to hear this. Maybe I'll roll in a picture. But there is a little lip on the edge. Again, it looks like where two pieces of the mold come together. Same with on the Chipko Classic. You can find it with your fingernail. It is noticeable if you look for it, but just handling the chips, I don't notice them. So it's not like an ABS chip with a huge, massive piece of plastic hanging off there. So let's get some of these out of the way here. So quality control, it's definitely up. These chips are definitely up there with the best out there as far as ceramics goes. The dimples are, wonderful. The feel is wonderful. The edges feel great. I have no complaints as far as the quality goes. These are definitely in the top tier. I would say right up there with BR Pro Poker, classic Chipkos. These are same quality. Now, design. Now, design is very subjective. Let's have a look a little bit more empirically at the design before I give you some of my thoughts about it. It's very much a radial pattern with a very Greek-looking laurel pattern here with dice down here. There are 5 denominations printed here, 4 around the edges, 1 in the center. And you'll notice that there is some progression when it comes to depth and texture. The 5000 has a gradient pattern here, while the rest have kind of a flat background. The squares surrounding them, the little white outline, very similar to Chipko Classic again. Chipko was famous for their white border around their graphics. The edge spots, 2-dot edge spot. You can see there are 3 on that one, 3 here, with the denominations printed as well on the edges. Very clean edge design. All right, now, there's a lot to talk about with design. With radial design, like on a watch, sometimes it kind of points out. With a watch, you kind of get it's pointing out and in, and the numbers are kind of the focal point there where the hands are pointing. That's where your eyes are drawn to. Bam, right there. It's 11 o'clock, whatever it may be. So with these chips, they're very much drawing your eye to the center here. The colors, the way they're pointing in, that radial design, bam, right there, you're seeing that denomination. Something else about English speakers, people who read and write in English, you start top left, you end bottom right. So the top left is where you always start. So when you look for denominations, it's like right there, right there. It's very easy early on in that split second you look at a chip to recognize, oh, this is a 1000. Done. Doesn't matter what angle. Oh, this one can be upside down. It looks like, bam, right there, 1000. Easy to get. There's another chip kicking around here somewhere, like this one. Let's roll in the crown laurel set. Maybe this 100 would be better. You look at this one, and the first thing that you see is crown laurel. Oh, look, it's 1. Then you come down here. Oh, it's 100. Obviously, it's black, so people who are familiar with chipsets will get it pretty quickly. But really, that down there is the last place your eye ends up. The same thing happens with the Tiki Kings, right? You have this Easter egg shell background here. And Tiki King catches your eyes. The first thing, it's split second. Bam, Tiki King, you follow that down 100. But there's no confusion here because they're not putting that upside down above his head, unlike these crown laurel. Just a design thing. So with a radial design, they did a great job on the Archetype, making those denominations crystal clear, all right? Now, something that I was looking at when I was first getting into poker chips, I loved the idea of printing the denominations on the side. After you play with enough chipsets, you realize, yeah, that's not necessary, but it's kind of cool to have. Why not? It's an interesting design cue. Would I choose this set over another set just based off of that? No, I wouldn't. So now with design, you're always looking for, and you always hear words like harmony and unity and all this stuff. The one unifying thing about all these chips is obviously the cog design right here and the crown laurels, the little token, the white token they have in the middle of all of these. It's not actually a token. It's no different. It's just printed on there. So it's not like, or dyed on there, however you want it, the manufacturing process. So it's, there. And that kind of unifies all of them. The green, now this is where we get into color thoughts, okay? Now, for me, sometimes it gets a little bit much with color combinations when you have one solid color running through everything. And this is nitpicking now, so this is a personal thing. This is not a criticism against the chipset as a universal recommendation, but just my personal opinion. My opinion is that this gets a little busy here real quick, because you get a pink, then a green, which I don't really, that for me somehow just kind of hurts my eyes. Is it the end of the world? No, it's very much like what you'd expect to see in a candy shop. Some people will love that, okay? But for me, it's just kind of like, it just sticks out a little bit too much, and it jumps out from the rest of these chips as something I don't like. The green, fine, but then you get red. So you get red, white, green, pink. Okay, whatever, that livable, but I don't like this chip. The other one I don't like is the 5. It's a little, again, too much, because you're going from this yellow to red to green to red. See how kind of nitpicky I am? The 500's okay, but again, you get pink and red. It's kind of weird to me. So if I were to get a set of these, I would definitely get a high denomination set. Like I would avoid the 5 and the 25, which are very bold and loud. Yes, absolutely, but maybe not my favorite thing in the world. And the other thing on their website, again, link in the description, I'm not sure what kind of availability they have on these. They say they introduced this 100,000, but it's not available currently. From what I've seen, you probably have to send in a special request and have it custom made, and you can probably get a 25,000 as well. And like I said, ceramics are easy to customize. So if I wanted to, I could easily change the colors on these when I put in an order. I wouldn't be terribly put out about the colors. Just an observation that I had, and I just wanted to share my opinion. So the design is actually really good. It's a really clean design, easy to read. There is unity here. There is harmony here. My preference would be the high denomination chipset, just because I think they're interesting. Like I love this 5000. So overall then, you're looking at around $1 a chip, which is reasonable. It might be a little bit high for a chip, but I mean, these are, as far as I can tell, as high a quality as any other chip out there, if not the highest quality chip out there. Just a couple of little itty nitpicky things. The ridges around the side, which to me is a non-issue. It's just something I noticed, but you would really have to scratch these with your fingernails, consistently to even pick that up. And some of, yeah, so, and each chip is different. So, and colors, are those my only two complaints? We're getting pretty close to a really, really good chipset right here. Again, availability is an issue. I'm not sure if they're discontinued. I'm making this in response to viewers who requested my thoughts about these chips. So I really like them. It's a personal thing. These are more mature than maybe I am. Like I said, if I had to choose between these and the Tikis, I would choose the Tikis purely based off of their happy looks. Does that make sense? They just make me smile. They're more my personality than these. These are like a chip, poker chip, trying really hard to be a poker chip, whereas these are just kind of like, whatever. We'll just do our own thing, kind of an attitude, and I kind of like that little rebellion. Absolutely, I could recommend these to anybody. I'm gonna roll in some comparisons here, just for looks and just for a quick discussion. We'll probably do a sound test too. I'm gonna hit some ceramics here real quick. The Chipko Classics, I'm not sure if these are still available, but I have a sample set, and so just want to point out that these are practically identical. Chipko was bought out by PGI, Palm Gaming, as was BR Pro Poker. So BR Pro Poker and Chipko are under PGI right now. As of 2016, everything changes. Nevada Jack has some coarser chips. Again, Dead Man's Hand, reference to Wild Bill Hickok. The Crown Laurel. The Venerati chips are also sold by the same company, link in the description. The Venerati I don't like. I don't like this yellow, especially this one. I just don't like. Again, if I were to get these, I'd get the higher denomination sets. Not my favorite chip, but they're okay. As far as feel goes, they have a pretty similar feel. Now, some other ones from BR Pro Poker, the Valentino Poker Room. And I think it's valuable to have all these on screen at once, just so you can have some reference for comparison reasons. The Crown Laurel, I rolled some of these in. I'm not a huge fan of these. Let's get some interesting ones on top. Should we do the 5? And the Nile Club. Again, I still know people that love the Nile Club just because they think these graphics are super interesting. And I kind of disagree with them. I don't think the graphics are that interesting, but it's definitely different, and you get a definite progression of graphics through those. All right, let's see what other ceramics do we have here. We have some scrolls. Again, these are just a reasonable chip. They're just a chip and a chip. And that's what I'm going to roll in front of the camera right here. I'm looking, I have some other samples and more different denominations of Nevada Jack, but I don't think that would really make much of a difference. Anyway, should we do a quick sound test? Oh, let's see. Let's roll in some different things here. Make a stack of these. Should we leave the Valentinos, those? Maybe we should do the scrolls, Nevada Jack, but I want to roll in some China Clays and some Paulsons just so you can hear the difference. Let me do the ceramic sound test here. Will there be a difference? I don't know. Yes, there is a difference. I can hear it. I'm not sure if my mic will pick it up, but there is a difference. All right. Huh, that's interesting. That sounded pretty similar to me. And I don't know if I have any more of these. I do. Well, all right. Again, I could hear a subtle difference there. Let's roll in some ABS metal insert chips, some Paulsons. Ooh, let's see. Do I have some true clay material? Here we go. This is true clay. I call it the next gen material, but lots of times it's sold as a true clay. And let's do these really quick. I think that's all that I have that I want. Oh, some China clays would be nice to compare. Let's roll in some ferros. Okay. These are Monte Carlo ABS metal insert chips. All right. Looking through a viewfinder when you're doing all this stuff makes anybody a klutz. All right, here we go again. Faro China Clays. Discontinue Paulson. Paulson Classics. All right. I hope that was helpful and interesting. Archetype, if you have a set of these, good on you. I mean, this is a great set. Good choice. My personal favorite, no, just because of the design and the colors, but this is, as far as I can tell, one of the highest quality sets for ceramics out there, if it's still available. Again, everything is subjective to change, and it always does change. So stay tuned, subscribe, and we're going to do our best to stay up to date here on this channel. I really appreciate my subscribers. You guys really make this possible. Thank you so much. My name is John Hobby.